Hey everyone, Warwick's here. So just before we get started with the video, I just want to let you know the very beginning does have a spoiler. So if you have not yet leveled through all of the zones, you have not seen all the cinematics, or you've not done the Ardenweald quest line, there is a spoiler at the very beginning of this. So through the magic of post-editing, I'll put the timestamp right about here-ish, right down below me, about at around what time you're going to be able to skip forward in the video to kind of skip that potential spoiler. The rest of the video should just be footage of gameplay, so it won't be anything bad, but just wanted to let you know the first about minute to minute and a half or so after this goes away is going to be spoiler territory, so be aware of that.
My queen, please help us.
This
Shit.
is of my
I don't have
sister.
any.
Why
Sister.
have you brought it to me?
This one is slipping away.
I don't have any water.
Our duty is grim. Many.
Is there an
have been
innkeeper here at
lost.
Sinfall?
Why would I save her?
There should be.
Pet.
Those who have dreamed by its side awaken with a joy and peace that whispers of wonder. If she dies, then all that is Emerald dies with her.
Some must be sacrificed,
Okay, whatever. We're gonna YOLO this.
must be saved.
Maybe we'll get a mage.
If we forget that,
That
all
would be
will
dope.
remain will be empty shells and sorrow.
Nope.
Is this the one?
Inspired friendship. This is the one that gives me my
This is
enhancement.
badass. The Sarah's theme is beautiful.
It's cool. You can tell me there's no path available on the open fucking ground game. It's cool.
Hey everyone, back again. We're just on raid day of Castle Nathria, heroic and normal opening up. Waiting for us to go kill all those bosses, weeks on end as we get ready for Mythic raiding. Before we get into the new raid and Mythic Plus season, I wanted to take a look at my first impressions of Shadowlands. How did it feel to level? How did we get into the end game, and how did that feel? And some early opinions on the dungeons that I've done. I've gotten around 10 to 12, maybe 13 hours of gameplay in the first week of Shadowlands. I imagine that's probably on the low end for most people. I know it is, at least in my guild. I was one of the last people of my raid team to hit level 60, and I'm probably one of the lower geared right now. Hopefully that changes this upcoming week. But I think that's enough time that I've gotten right now to give you a good idea on my first impressions of the game. This is just my view, and I'm sure you're going to have different opinions on each of these subjects. If you want to tell me what you think, head down to the comments below, and let's have a fun discussion. Before we get into the meat of the video though, I just want to tell you that all the footage you're going to see here is from my Twitch stream at twitch.tv/warwicks_BAA. There I stream every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night from 9:30 p.m. to midnight Central Standard Time US. We are going to be streaming my raid progression, a normal raid. It's going to be the first time my group has really done a raid together as a team, and we're going to see how it goes in normal. But I also will be streaming my Mythic Plus dungeons. I've streamed my leveling experience. I'll be streaming my Mythic Plus runs there, and as I potentially have downtime, I might be streaming my second character, trying out the Threads of Fate. Whether it's my Druid or my Hunter, I don't know yet, but one of those two characters will be the next one that I'm leveling. So if you want to come hang out, chill out with me while you play the game yourself, even, feel free to come stop by. Give me a follow on Twitch as well. I'm trying to get to 10 followers by the end of the year, so I've only got 1 month left for that to happen. But come chill, hang out, nerd out about World of Warcraft with me. Finally, I know you hear this a lot already on pretty much any YouTube video that you see, but if you like the content that I make here on YouTube, go ahead and sub to the channel, share the videos with your friends or with your Discord servers, and give them likes. All of this helps them become seen by people. The YouTube algorithm puts them into search results a little bit higher up the list than what you may have gotten on my very first, say, 20, 30 videos. And it kind of just lets me know that you find value in the content that I'm putting out. I actually just had my first video, my Survival Hunter pre-patch thoughts video, hit 1,200 views as of today when I'm recording this, which is November 30th. And I'm blown away by the fact that A, Survival Hunter video got that much views, which tells me there's not a lot of SV content out there. But B, it seems like there was a lot of good discussion happening in the comments of that video as well. And I'm really happy with how that video has come out, considering I did it on a whim on like a Saturday night for Publish Sunday. It's kind of crazy. So thank you to all who have subbed to the channel. I think I'm up to 19 or 20 subscribers there. Thank you all for doing that. Thank you for everyone that watches my content. Now, let's get into the videos. Let's start with leveling. Leveling in Shadowlands may have been the best experience that I've had through the 5 forms of the game that I've played. Now, I missed Kata through Legion, so Vanilla, TBC, Wrath of the Lich King, and then BFA and Shadowlands. Those are the 5 forms of the game that I've experienced. So my opinion may have some grain of salt to it since I missed the middle life of the game. But this one definitely felt the best to play. Each zone story was tight, coherent, and fun to follow along with. The cinematics that were at the end of each zone, letting you know that you completed the main quests, were just fantastic little ways to tell you that, hey, the zone is done, and B, they just added nice little seeds of what's going to be coming next. I think they were all outstanding, and they were so much fun to watch. I do recommend that if you are leveling for the first time, to just stick to main quests and don't do any side quests except maybe in the zone that you plan on being in your Covenant. I did a lot of the side missions in Bastion and Maldraxxus and ended up hitting about 4 missions into Revendreth is when I hit level 60. I also did a lot of herbing on the way as well because my character is an herbalist, so I got a lot of experience off of that, and I don't know how much that impacted it. If you're a miner or an herbalist, maybe something to consider as well. The reason I say stick to the main story campaign is that you must complete the story campaign to choose your Covenant. So sticking to those main quests and only going back for side quests at maybe at level 60 is a fun little gold grind or something like that would be something that you would do. Overall though, this has been a fantastic experience and I hope it's repeated in the future expansions. Everything felt like a blast to play and it felt special and meaningful to live those zone specific stories through the eyes of the characters in the zones. It's just fantastic. Let's move on to endgame systems. So I apologize for not having footage for this. I forgot I did a lot of this stuff offline over the weekend, so I don't have any footage here, so you're just going to continue to see leveling stuff. Once you hit 60 and complete all 4 zone stories, it's time to choose your Covenant. This whole process of choosing your Covenant and then everything right after it felt a little less pleasing to me. Getting everything in your Covenant set up took about 2 to 2.5 hours of gameplay, and it felt more like a chore than something that was done with any sort of purpose. Than an experience of building something from the ground up. As of recording, I'm not even technically done with getting through all the initial stuff as I still have Torghast initials mission to do so that I can get to the rune carver and unlock my legendary, so to speak. Now, this was in part due to me dungeon spamming. I was doing a lot to gear up through normals with my guild, but it shouldn't take me 3 to 4 hours just to get prepped for the actual end game of getting legendaries, getting the conduits, getting your dungeon runs in and stuff like that. Legendaries not dropping 100% from dungeon bosses from those that do is also a bit frustrating, though I wonder if it's because I haven't unlocked them by meeting the rune carver. Though Pads was on his shaman who has done all of this, and he didn't get his best in slot enhancement shaman pattern to drop both times that we ran Spires of Ascension, so it not being available on normal is a possibility. I don't actually know, and I don't know if anyone really does. Clarification on drop rates, the level of content you'll need to do to get them, I think would have been really, really helpful here. Once you get through it all, it's nice to know you're down to a few things a week to kind of complete as your sort of weekly list on your character, leaving you room to play off specs or alts, which I think is really, really good. And for someone like me that likes playing multiple characters, that's going to be something that's going to be really, really helpful to me. But getting to that point is definitely feeling like a slog at times. Also, not mounting in the mall is just not a good feeling. It's just not. Never allow flying. Sure, I'm fine with that. But just mounting up and not at all is a fun feeling. It's really sad that I have to have a weak aura that basically shames me every time I push the mount button because I'm so used to killing mobs, hitting the mount button, and going. Let us mount in the mall, Blizzard, please. Flying, fine. Completely agree with that. Even if you have to keep us at 100% ground speed because, you know, mounts are afraid or whatever the case may be, just something. The mall's really bad to go into. Alright, and finally, dungeons. Dungeons in Shadowlands feel like they were a little bit more tailored and designed with Mythic Plus in mind, sort of the repeatable speedrun content that we're going to be spending the next 2.5 years doing. Overall, a lot of the dungeons that I've run, I've enjoyed. It's definitely been a good. Maybe it's new dungeons. I'm not running Freehold or Waycrest or Temporal Cethralis for the millionth time, but these dungeons feel good. Of the two that I think are my favorite are Theater of Pain and Sanguine Depths. I think they're just still my favorites, with the other side kind of being my least favorite so far. I've yet to run Necrotic Wake or Mist of Tyrannus Scythe so far, so that could possibly change. I don't know much about those dungeons, though I've heard a lot of good things from some guild members. Some don't really like them all that much, so we'll see when we get there. Maybe I'll do a personal ranking of the dungeons in a future video. The dungeons all feel fairly linear, with some areas that allow you to kind of pick and choose the trash that you pull, which, depending on your feeling on that, will vary. I don't mind it that much personally. None of the dungeons felt like a maze to navigate, which for me as a tank player, I really appreciate that. Nothing feels worse than like Waycrest Manor getting lost trying to lead your group through the dungeon, especially when you're on a timer. Here, nothing feels like a Waycrest Manor style maze where the first couple of times you're going in, it doesn't feel like you have no idea where to go, which is really good. Most of the trash is simple enough, with a few things being glaring potential issues. The Houndmaster pulls in Halls of Atonement, for example. Those beasts get really, really thick and really hurt as a tank. I was having to ring a piece of them every single time they kind of grew up so that I didn't just get just zerged by them. But as you rise in key levels, that could potentially become an issue. They may have to tweak and tone damage as we go through the sort of scaling of the keys. Boss fights, I think, were all complex enough to be a challenge, but nothing that is going to require you like having a ridiculous level of weak aura in order to do all the mechanics like you sometimes see in Raid. And in fact, kind of thinking about it, there's only one boss that I think that really wasn't all that fun in my eyes, and that's Muzala from the other side. That fight really doesn't have any redeeming qualities in my eyes. The ground effects were hard to see. It's really hard to figure out like what's coming next. Like, our healer was standing in the back basically calling it, and the ground effects didn't really help that at all. And maybe it's just Bigwig Little Wigs wasn't really up to speed with some of those abilities, but I shouldn't, even if without a dungeon add-on, I should still be able to see roughly where that stuff is coming from. The idea of porting around a room in order to beat a fight, I think sounds really good in theory, but I just don't think the execution of it here was all up to standard for what we expected of Blizzard dungeons. So outside of that, my favorite boss fights I think have been Devos and Spires of Ascension. Just really good. Everything in Theater of Pain is a blast. I think that dungeon is going to be a lot of people's favorites this expansion. I think it might even be mine. And I think this one might be a little bit of a hot take, but General Call and Sanguine Depths I found to be really fun as well. They're all fun, varied, challenging fights, but not having something that you just absolutely hate about the fight that just makes you just want to not run that dungeon. This may change as I play these dungeons over and over and over again, but my initial thoughts are that these are pretty much almost all fun, and I'm very curious to see how Mythic Plus affixes start to impact these dungeons. Overall, I've had fun with almost every second that I've played of Shadowlands. Even when I'm not logged in, doing stuff like this, I found myself thinking about the game, waiting to jump on with my guildies to run dungeons, Torghast, and just have as much fun as possible with this group that I've kind of developed as a guild. I think that bodes well for the game over the course of the long-term expansion. The stories, the music, the art, they're not always, but they've been really top-notch this time compared to what we've gotten in BFA. Each zone feels distinct, they all have very specific flavors, and I actually thought that each zone story was really interesting, if somewhat basic at times. But all of those make me keep wanting to come back, and that's, I think, the best thing that I can say for Shadowlands. BFA, there were definitely weeks where I did not want to show up and play the game, but I did because I wanted to play with my brothers. Now I've got a full guild that I can run with. It's going to be hopefully a lot more fun, and everything in the game so far points me in a direction of I'm going to want to do the stuff that's in the game, rather than BFA where the stuff in the game was just there. It was playing with my brothers that was the fun part. In Shadowlands, it's going to be playing the game that's fun, and doing it with my guild group is going to be a lot of fun as well. So how do you feel about Shadowlands so far? Comment below and let's chat about it. For future videos, monk spec guides are coming soon, and I'll do a short 2-part video on Mythic Plus, talking about how Mythic Plus works, and then going through each affix and kind of how that can impact your gameplay. I've got a lot of planned videos coming out, so I'm working to get them out as quickly as I can to you guys. So until the next video, everyone, I hope you all stay safe. I hope you all wear your mask, and I will see you all next time.